The sun was setting over New York City, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The streets buzzed with the usual chaos, cars honking, people rushing home, and the faint hum of distant conversations. But something unusual was happening. High above the towering skyscrapers, the clouds began to swirl unnaturally. The wind picked up, carrying an eerie stillness that made everyone stop in their tracks. A massive shadow loomed overhead, blocking out the last rays of sunlight. It wasn't a storm or an airplane. What descended from the heavens was unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. A colossal alien ship hovered silently above the city, its surface shimmering like liquid metal under the fading light. People gasped, pointed, and whispered in awe and fear. Some dropped to their knees, while others snapped pictures with their phones, unable to believe what they were witnessing. Jack Miller stood in the middle of Times Square, his eyes wide as he stared upward. He was a wildlife biologist who spent most of his days studying animals in remote corners of the world. His job often took him far away from cities like this one, but today he had been in town for a conference. Now he found himself surrounded by thousands of strangers, all looking up at the same thing, the arrival of extraterrestrial beings. Beside him stood Lisa Carter, his colleague and close friend. She worked as an ecologist, focusing on how different species interacted within ecosystems. Like Jack, she had dedicated her life to understanding nature's delicate balance. Her hands trembled slightly as she clutched her notebook, though she tried to appear calm. "Do you think they're here to help us?" she asked, her voice barely audible over the growing noise around them. "I don't know," Jack replied, shaking his head. "But if they wanted to destroy us, they could have done it already." The ship didn't move for several minutes. It just floated there, silent and imposing, as if waiting for something or someone to react. Then, without warning, a bright light erupted from the bottom of the vessel. It illuminated the entire square, forcing everyone to shield their eyes. When the light dimmed, a holographic image appeared in the air, hovering above the crowd. It was a figure unlike any human and alien, with glowing eyes and skin that seemed to ripple like water. Its voice echoed through the square, speaking perfect English. "We are the Zorathians," the figure announced. "We have come to evaluate your planet and determine whether your species poses a threat to galactic stability." The announcement sent shockwaves through the crowd. Some people cheered, thinking this might be humanity's chance to join an interstellar community. Others panicked, fearing the worst. Jack and Lisa exchanged worried glances. Neither of them knew what to expect, but both felt a strange sense of responsibility. They were scientists, after all, trained to observe and analyze. If anyone could make sense of this situation, it was them, before anyone could process what had just happened. The hologram continued. "Representatives from your species will be invited aboard our vessel for further discussion. Choose wisely, for much depends on your decision." With that, the image vanished, leaving behind only silence. The ship remained suspended in the air, its presence impossible to ignore. Within moments, military vehicles arrived, surrounding Times Square. Soldiers in uniform jumped out, shouting orders and trying to restore order. Reporters swarmed the area, shoving microphones into people's faces and demanding answers. Amid the chaos, Jack and Lisa realized they might actually be needed. A group of officials approached them, recognizing their credentials as scientists. "You two specialize in biology and ecology, correct?" one of the men asked. Jack nodded, and Lisa confirmed. "Good. You've been selected to represent humanity aboard the alien ship." Jack blinked, caught off guard. "Why us?" "Because you understand life better than anyone else here," the official explained. "If these aliens are serious about evaluating Earth, we need people who can explain our planet's complexity. Can you do it?" Neither Jack nor Lisa hesitated. They agreed immediately, knowing this could be humanity's only chance to prove itself. As they were escorted toward the ship, they couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. The scale of what was happening was almost too much to comprehend. But they also felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could show these aliens that humans weren't just destructive creatures bent on ruining everything they touched. When they reached the base of the ship, a ramp extended downward, humming softly with energy. Jack and Lisa exchanged nervous looks before stepping onto it. The surface felt cool beneath their feet, smooth and metallic. As they ascended, the ramp retracted behind them, sealing them inside. The interior of the ship was unlike anything they had ever imagined. The walls pulsed with light, shifting colors and patterns that seemed alive. Strange symbols floated in the air, glowing faintly as if inviting interaction. They were greeted by several Zorithians, each taller and more imposing than the last. Their bodies radiated a soft glow, and their movements were fluid, almost hypnotic. One of them stepped forward, introducing itself as Kale. "Welcome, representatives of Earth," Kale said, its voice deep and resonant. "You have been brought here to answer questions about your species. Your cooperation is essential." Jack swallowed hard, trying to steady his nerves. "We'll do our best," he said, his voice surprisingly firm despite the circumstances. Kale nodded, then gestured for them to follow. They walked through corridors that seemed to stretch endlessly, passing other aliens along the way. Each one looked completely different, some resembling plants, others resembling machines. Jack couldn't help but marvel at the diversity of life forms gathered here. It was like walking through a museum of the universe. Eventually, they arrived at a large chamber filled with floating platforms. On each platform sat a member of the Galactic Council, representing various species from across the galaxy. Jack and Lisa took their place in the center of the room, feeling incredibly small compared to the towering figures surrounding them. One council member spoke first, its voice sharp and accusatory. "Humans destroy their environment, exploit resources, and wage war against each other. How can such a species claim to be intelligent?" Lisa clenched her fists, resisting the urge to argue. Instead, she let Jack take the lead. He cleared his throat and addressed the council. "Yes, humans have made mistakes, but we're also capable of learning and improving. We've developed technologies to heal the damage we've caused and work together to solve problems." Another council member chimed in, this time sounding curious rather than hostile. "Explain your concept of an apex predator. Is that what humans consider themselves to be?" Jack hesitated for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "An apex predator isn't necessarily the strongest or largest creature. It's the one that sits at the top of the food chain, influencing the ecosystem around it. Humans may not have claws or fangs, but we've adapted in ways that allow us to shape our environment." The council members exchanged glances, clearly intrigued. Kale leaned forward, its glowing eyes fixed on Jack. "Prove it. Show us why humans deserve a place among the stars." And so the challenge began. Jack and Lisa knew they had their work cut out for them, but they also knew they couldn't back down. This wasn't just about saving Earth, it was about showing the universe that humanity had potential. As they prepared for whatever came next, they held on to one thought. No matter how daunting the task, humans had always found a way to survive. For now, that would have to be enough. The council chamber was silent as Jack and Lisa stood in the center, their hearts pounding. The weight of the moment pressed down on them. They had just been asked to prove humanity's worth, a task that felt both impossible and terrifying. Around them, the members of the Galactic Council watched with unreadable expressions, their glowing forms casting an otherworldly light throughout the room. Kale, the leader of the council, broke the silence. "Your claim that humans are apex predators requires evidence," it said, its voice calm but firm. "We will create a simulation where you must demonstrate your abilities against various challenges. If you succeed, we may reconsider our evaluation of your species." Jack nodded slowly, trying to appear confident despite the knot in his stomach. "What kind of challenges?" he asked, his voice steady. "You will face apex predators from across the galaxy," Kale replied. "Each one represents the pinnacle of survival in its respective ecosystem. Your goal is not merely to survive, but to show intelligence, adaptability, and resilience qualities you claim define your species." Lisa glanced at Jack, her eyes wide with worry. She knew they were stepping into the unknown, facing creatures far beyond anything they had studied on Earth, but she also knew they couldn't afford to back down. Humanity's future depended on this moment. Do you accept? Kale asked, tilting its head slightly. Yes, Jack said without hesitation. He turned to Lisa, who gave him a small nod of agreement. Together they stepped forward, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The simulation began almost immediately. A door slid open at the edge of the chamber, revealing a vast arena bathed in dim red light. The air inside felt thick and heavy, carrying the faint scent of something metallic. Jack and Lisa stepped through the doorway, their footsteps echoing loudly against the smooth, alien floor. In the center of the arena stood their first opponent, a massive insect-like creature with razor-sharp mandibles and 6 spindly legs. Its exoskeleton gleamed like polished steel, and its multifaceted eyes glowed with an eerie green light. It moved with startling speed, darting side to side as if testing its surroundings. Jack took a deep breath, forcing himself to focus. He had spent years studying predators on Earth, learning how they hunted and survived. This creature might be alien, but the principles of predator behavior still applied. Stay calm, he whispered to Lisa. Watch its movements. We need to figure out its patterns. Lisa nodded, clutching her notebook tightly. She wasn't a fighter, but she trusted Jack's instincts. She scanned the arena, searching for anything they could use to their advantage. Her eyes landed on a pile of debris scattered near the wall, a mix of jagged rocks and twisted metal fragments. Over there, she said, pointing. Maybe we can use those. Jack followed her, gazed and nodded. Good idea, let's split up. You grab what you can, and I'll keep its attention. Before Lisa could respond, the creature lunged toward them with incredible speed. Jack barely managed to dive out of the way, rolling onto his feet as the creature skidded to a stop and turned to attack again. Its mandibles snapped shut mere inches from his face, missing him by a fraction of a second. Lisa didn't waste time. She sprinted toward the debris, grabbing the largest piece of metal she could carry. The creature noticed her movement and hesitated, torn between pursuing Jack and intercepting her. That brief moment of indecision was all Jack needed. He grabbed a sharp rock from the ground and hurled it at the creature, striking it squarely on one of its glowing eyes. The creature reared back, letting out a high-pitched screech that echoed through the arena. For a moment, it seemed disoriented, giving Lisa enough time to set up a makeshift trap. She arranged the pieces of debris in a loose circle, creating a barrier that would slow the creature down if it tried to charge through. When the creature recovered, it focused its attention back on Jack. It charged again, moving even faster than before. Jack braced himself, waiting until the last possible moment before diving to the side. The creature barreled straight into Lisa's trap, tangling itself in the debris. Its legs flailed wildly as it struggled to break free. Now! Jack shouted, gesturing for Lisa to act. Lisa didn't hesitate. She grabbed another piece of metal and hurled it at the creature, aiming for its exposed underbelly. The blow struck true, causing the creature to shriek in pain. It thrashed violently, finally breaking free of the trap, but by then it was clear. The fight had taken its toll. With one final glare, the creature retreated, disappearing into the shadows of the arena. The room fell silent once more. Jack and Lisa exchanged a glance, both breathing heavily from the adrenaline rush. They had survived the first challenge, but they knew it was only the beginning. As the doors opened again, ushering them back into the council chamber, Kale addressed them. You have shown resourcefulness and teamwork, it said, its tone neutral. But the next challenge will test your ability to adapt to unfamiliar environments. Jack and Lisa nodded, steeling themselves for what came next. They were led to a new simulation, this one resembling a vast underwater world. The water shimmered with bioluminescent lights, illuminating strange coral-like structures and schools of alien fish. But lurking among them was their second opponent, a sleek, shadowy predator capable of blending seamlessly into its surroundings. This time, Lisa took the lead. We're dealing with camouflage here, she said, her voice low. It's going to rely on stealth, so we need to stay alert. Jack agreed, scanning the water carefully. At first, nothing seemed out of place. The predator remained hidden, watching them from the depths. But Lisa noticed subtle disturbances in the water. Ripple here, a flicker of movement there. It's circling us, she whispered. It's trying to isolate one of us. Then we stick together, Jack replied firmly. No splitting up this time. They moved cautiously, staying close to each other as they searched for signs of the predator. Suddenly, a flash of movement caught Lisa's eye. She pointed toward a cluster of glowing plants where the water seemed darker than the rest. There! She exclaimed. The predator lunged out of hiding, its streamlined body slicing through the water like a knife. It was faster than anything they had encountered before. But Lisa had anticipated its attack. She grabbed a nearby piece of coral and hurled it directly into the creature's path. The distraction worked, causing the predator to veer off course. Seizing the opportunity, Jack swam toward a rocky outcrop and began piling stones together. He created a makeshift barricade, hoping to funnel the predator into a confined space. Meanwhile, Lisa used her knowledge of aquatic ecosystems to predict the creature's next move. She spotted a weak point in its armor-like scales near its tail and relayed the information to Jack. When the predator attacked again, they were ready. Working together, they lured it into the narrow passage Jack had created. As it tried to squeeze through, Lisa used a sharp piece of coral to strike at its vulnerable spot. The creature let out a muffled roar, thrashing violently before retreating into the depths. Once again, the simulation ended, and they were brought back to the council chamber. Kale regarded them with what might have been approval. You have demonstratd adaptability and strategic thinking, it said. But the final challenge will require something deeper. Something that defines your species uniquely. Jack and Lisa exchanged a glance, unsure of what was coming next. They had faced physical danger and environmental puzzles, but now it seemed the council wanted to see something else, something intangible. Whatever it was, they knew it would push them to their limits. For now, though, they allowed themselves a moment of relief. They had proven their strength and intelligence, showing that humans were more than just fragile beings clinging to a fragile planet. But as they stood there, surrounded by towering aliens who viewed them with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism, they realized the hardest part was yet to come. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't claws or teeth, it was connection. And somehow, they would need to show that to the council. The council chamber was eerily quiet as Jack and Lisa stood before the Zorathians, their bodies tense with anticipation. They had survived 2 challenges so far, each one testing their ability to think quickly, work together, and adapt to unfamiliar situations. But Kale's words echoed in their minds. The final challenge would require something deeper, something uniquely human. Neither of them knew what that meant, but they braced themselves for whatever came next. Kale stepped forward, its glowing eyes fixed on the 2 humans. You have shown intelligence and resilience, it said, its deep voice resonating through the chamber. But there is one quality that defines your species more than any other. It is not strength or technology, it is empathy. The ability to understand and connect with others, even those who are different from you. Jack frowned slightly, unsure of where this was going. Empathy? How could that be tested in a simulation? He glanced at Lisa, who looked equally puzzled. Before either of them could ask questions, Kale continued. In this final challenge, you will face a creature unlike any you have encountered before. It is intelligent, capable of communication, and driven by instincts similar to your own. Your task is not to fight or outsmart it, but to connect. The room seemed to shift around them as the floor beneath their feet began to glow. A portal opened, revealing a dense forest bathed in soft golden light. The air smelled fresh, like rain-soaked earth mixed with blooming flowers. Birds, or at least creatures that resembled birds, chirped melodiously in the distance. It was beautiful, almost serene. Enter, Kale commanded. Jack and Lisa exchanged a glance before stepping through the portal. As soon as they crossed the threshold, the scene changed dramatically. The peaceful forest gave way to a dark, misty clearing. In the center stood a massive, Volf-like creature with shimmering silver fur and piercing blue eyes. Its presence was both majestic and intimidating. Radiating an aura of power and mystery, Lisa instinctively took a step back, her heart racing. "What do we do?" she whispered, clutching Jack's arm. Jack hesitated, his mind racing. Fighting wasn't an option, not if the goal was connection. But how could they communicate with something so alien? He remembered Kale's words about empathy and decided to trust his instincts. Slowly, he raised his hands, palms open, showing he meant no harm. The creature tilted its head, studying him with those intense blue eyes. For a moment, nothing happened. Then it let out a low growl, bearing rows of razor-sharp teeth. Jack froze, his pulse pounding in his ears. He didn't dare move, afraid that any sudden action might provoke the creature. "It's testing us," Lisa murmured, her voice barely audible. "It wants to see if we're a threat." Jack nodded slightly, keeping his gaze steady on the creature. He lowered himself slowly into a crouch, making himself appear smaller and less threatening. The creature watched him carefully, its growl fading into silence. Encouraged by its reaction, Jack extended one hand cautiously, palm facing upward. The creature sniffed the air, then took a hesitant step forward. Its movements were slow and deliberate, as if weighing every decision. When it was close enough to touch Jack's hand, it stopped, its glowing eyes locked onto his. For a brief moment, Jack felt a strange sensation, a connection, as if the creature was reading his thoughts or emotions. Then, unexpectedly, the creature sat down on its haunches. Its posture relaxed. It let out a soft whine, almost like a question. Jack smiled faintly, realizing they had made progress. "We're not here to hurt you," he said softly, though he doubted the creature understood his words. Instead, he focused on projecting calmness and trust. Lisa, emboldened by the creature's change in demeanor, knelt beside Jack. She reached out tentatively, her fingers brushing against the creature's fur. To her surprise, it leaned into her touch, its body warming under her hand. "It's amazing," she breathed, her fear melting away. "It's like it knows we mean well." The creature closed its eyes briefly, as if savoring the moment. When it opened them again, its expression had softened. It stood up and nudged Jack gently with its nose, then turned and began walking toward the edge of the clearing. It paused. After a few steps, looking back at them expectantly. "I think it wants us to follow," Jack said, getting to his feet. Lisa nodded, and together they trailed after the creature. It led them deeper into the forest, where the mist thickened and the golden light dimmed. The path grew narrower, forcing them to walk single file. Despite the eerie atmosphere, neither of them felt afraid. There was something comforting about the creature's presence, as if it was guiding them toward something important. After what felt like hours, they emerged into another clearing. This one was different from the first. At its center stood a large stone pedestal etched with intricate carvings that glowed faintly in the dim light. The creature approached the pedestal and placed its paw on top of it. The carvings flared to life, casting a bright, warm light that illuminated the entire clearing. Jack and Lisa approached cautiously, their eyes wide with wonder. The light seemed to pulse rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. As they drew closer, they felt a wave of emotion wash over them, peace, understanding, and a profound sense of unity. It was as if the pedestal was trying to communicate with them, bypassing language entirely. "What is this place?" Lisa asked, her voice filled with awe. "I don't know," Jack replied, shaking his head. "But I think it's important." The creature nudged them again, urging them to place their hands on the pedestal. Hesitantly, they did as it suggested. The moment their palms touched the surface, a flood of images and sensations overwhelmed them. They saw glimpses of Earth, the vast oceans, towering mountains, bustling cities, and endless skies. They felt the interconnectedness of all living things, from the smallest microbe to the largest whale. And most importantly, they understood the role humans played in that delicate balance. When the vision faded, Jack and Lisa found themselves back in the council chamber, standing before the Zorathians once more. Their faces were flushed, their eyes shining with newfound clarity. Kale regarded them silently, its expression unreadable. "You have completed the final challenge," Kale said finally. "Through empathy and connection, you have demonstrated what makes your species unique." You are not merely apex predators, you are stewards of life, capable of fostering harmony rather than destruction. The council members exchanged glances, some nodding in agreement while others remained skeptical. One of them, a tall, plant-like being with translucent leaves, spoke up. Empathy alone cannot undo the damage your kind has caused. What assurance do we have that you will use this gift wisely? Jack stepped forward, his voice firm despite the weight of the question. Humans aren't perfect. We make mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes have terrible consequences. But we also learn from them. We build, we heal, and we grow. That's what makes us different. We have the capacity to change. Lisa added, and now, thanks to this experience, we understand our responsibility better than ever. If given the chance, we'll prove ourselves worthy of the trust you're placing in us. Kale studied them for a long moment before speaking. Your words carry weight, but actions speak louder. The Galactic Council will deliberate on your fate. Until then, return to your planet and reflect on what you have learned. With that, the chamber doors opened, and Jack and Lisa were escorted back to Earth. As they descended from the alien ship, they couldn't help but feel a mix of relief and determination. They had faced unimaginable challenges and emerged stronger for it. Now, it was up to them and the rest of humanity to live up to the potential they had shown. Standing side by side, they gazed up at the sky, where the massive alien vessel still hovered. Somewhere among the stars, the Council was deciding Earth's future. But for the first time, Jack and Lisa felt hopeful. They had been given a second chance, and they intended to make the most of it. For now, though, they allowed themselves a moment of quiet reflection. Humanity's story wasn't over, it was just beginning. The alien ship hovered silently over New York City, its metallic surface shimmering faintly in the morning sunlight. Below, the streets were eerily quiet, as if the entire city was holding its breath. Jack and Lisa stood on the rooftop of a nearby building, their eyes fixed on the massive vessel above them. They had returned to Earth only hours ago, but it felt like an eternity since they'd faced the Galactic Council. Now, they waited anxiously for the Council's decision. Jack leaned against the railing, his arms crossed tightly over his chest. His mind raced with thoughts of what might happen next. Would the Zorathians decide that humanity wasn't worth saving? Or would they give Earth another chance? He glanced at Lisa, who was pacing back and forth, her hands clasped behind her back. She looked just as restless as he felt. What do you think they're discussing right now? Lisa asked, breaking the silence. Her voice was soft but tinged with worry. I don't know, Jack admitted. But I hope they understand how much we've learned from this experience. We didn't just survive those challenges, we proved that humans are capable of connection, empathy, and growth. Lisa stopped pacing and turned to face him. Do you really believe they'll let us stay after everything we've done to our planet? Jack hesitated before answering. The truth was, he didn't have all the answers. Humanity had made mistakes, terrible ones. Deforestation, pollution, wars, and countless other acts of destruction had scarred the Earth. But despite all that, there was still hope. People were beginning to wake up, realizing the importance of protecting their home. Solar panels were replacing coal plants. Reforestation projects were underway, and communities around the world were coming together to heal the damage. We've already started to change, Jack said finally. It's not perfect and it's not fast enough, but we're trying. That has to count for something, Lisa nodded slowly, her expression softening. You're right, maybe showing them that we're willing to learn is enough. Before either of them could say more, the alien ship began to descend. Its movements were slow and deliberate, as if it were savoring the moment. A beam of light shot down from the vessel, illuminating the rooftop where Jack and Lisa stood. Without hesitation, they stepped into the light, feeling themselves lifted off the ground and transported back aboard the ship. When they arrived in the council chamber, the atmosphere was tense. The members of the Galactic Council sat on their floating platforms, their glowing forms casting an ethereal light across the room. Kale, the leader of the council, rose to address them. Your species has been evaluated. Kale began, its voice calm but commanding. You have demonstrated intelligence, adaptability, and empathy. These qualities set you apart from many others we have encountered. Jack and Lisa exchanged a glance, their hearts pounding with anticipation. Was this good news or bad? However, Kale continued, raising a hand to signal caution. Your actions on your planet cannot be ignored. You have caused great harm, not only to yourselves, but to countless other species. Your environment is fragile, and your continued existence threatens the balance of life on Earth. Lisa took a step forward, her voice trembling slightly. No, we've made mistakes, but we're working to fix them. Please, give us the chance to prove that we can change. Kale tilted its head, studying her intently. Change is difficult, even for the most advanced civilizations. What assurance do we have that you will succeed? Jack stepped forward now, his voice firm. There are no guarantees. But isn't that true for everyone? Every species makes mistakes, and every civilization faces challenges. What matters is how we respond. We've shown you that we're capable of learning, growing, and connecting with others even when they're completely different from us. Isn't that worth taking a risk on? The council members exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. Some nodded thoughtfully, while others remained skeptical. Finally, one of them, a being with crystalline skin and a voice like wind, Chime spoke up. The human capacity for creativity is remarkable, it said. They have produced art, music, literature, and technology that rival the achievements of older civilizations. Perhaps this creativity can be harnessed to heal their world. Another council member, a creature resembling a swirling mass of energy, added, their resilience is undeniable. Despite their flaws, they continue to strive for improvement. This quality may yet save them. Kale listened carefully to these arguments before speaking again. Very well, the council has reached a decision. Humanity will be given a probationary period. During this time, you must demonstrate that your species is capable of coexisting peacefully with your environment and each other. Failure to do so will result in intervention. Jack and Lisa exhaled in relief, their shoulders sagging under the weight of the tension that had built up inside them. It wasn't a guarantee of safety, but it was a chance, a second opportunity to prove themselves. What happens now? Lisa asked, her voice steadier than before. For now, you return to your planet, Kale replied. We will monitor your progress closely. Use this time wisely. With that, the council chamber dissolved around them, and Jack and Lisa found themselves back on the rooftop in New York City. The alien ship ascended into the sky, shrinking until it disappeared entirely. For a moment, they simply stood there, letting the reality of what had just happened sink in. The news spread quickly. Within hours, reports of the alien encounter dominated every media outlet. Some people celebrated, believing the Zorithians' decision was proof that humanity had potential. Others dismissed the story as a hoax, refusing to believe anything they couldn't see with their own eyes. Governments scrambled to issue statements, urging calm and cooperation. Jack and Lisa became accidental celebrities overnight. Reporters chased them down, demanding interviews and explanations. Scientists debated the implications of the council's decision, while activists used the moment to push for greater environmental reforms. Amid the chaos, Jack and Lisa struggled to keep their focus. They knew the real work was just beginning. We need to share what we've learned, Lisa said during a quiet moment in Jack's apartment. People need to understand why this matters, not just for Earth, but for our future as a species. Jack nodded in agreement. We'll start small. Talk to schools, community groups, anyone who will listen. If we can inspire even a few people to care, it'll make a difference. Over the next few weeks, they traveled across the country, sharing their story with anyone who would hear it. They spoke about the challenges they had faced, the lessons they had learned, and the responsibility humanity now carried. Their message resonated deeply, especially with younger generations eager to create a better world. One evening, after a particularly inspiring talk at a university, Jack and Lisa sat together on a park bench watching the sunset. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink, mirroring the colors of the day they had first seen the alien ship. Do you think we're doing enough? Lisa asked, her voice soft. Jack smiled faintly. Probably not. But we're doing something, and that's better than nothing. Besides, we're not alone in this. Look at how many people are stepping up to help. Lisa followed his gaze to a group of students cleaning up trash along the riverbank. Nearby, a family planted saplings in a barren patch of land. Everywhere they looked, there were signs of hope, small acts of kindness and determination adding up to something bigger. You're right, Lisa said, smiling back. We've got a long way to go, but we're moving in the right direction. As the stars began to appear in the night sky, Jack and Lisa sat in comfortable silence, reflecting on everything that had happened. They had faced unimaginable challenges and emerged stronger for it. Now, they were part of something greater, a global effort to heal the Earth and secure humanity's place in the universe. For the first time in a long time, they allowed themselves to feel hopeful. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but they knew they weren't walking it alone. Together, with the rest of humanity, they would rise to meet the challenge. Months passed since Jack and Lisa's encounter with the Galactic Council. The world had changed in ways both subtle and profound. News of the alien visit spread like wildfire, sparking debates, protests, and movements across every corner of the globe. Some people embraced the Council's warning as a call to action, while others dismissed it as fear-mongering or an elaborate hoax. But one thing was undeniable. Humanity had been given a wake-up call. Jack and Lisa dedicated themselves fully to spreading their message. They traveled tirelessly, speaking at schools, universities, community centers, and even international conferences. Their story resonated deeply, especially with younger generations who felt the weight of inheriting a damaged planet, but also believed they could make a difference. Everywhere they went, they emphasized two key points: connection and responsibility. Humans are capable of incredible things, Jack often said during his talks. We've built cities, cured diseases, and explored the farthest reaches of space. But our greatest strength isn't technology. It's our ability to connect with each other and the world around us. That's what the Council saw in us, and that's what we need to nurture. Lisa added, responsibility means more than just cleaning up messes. It means thinking about the future every time we make a decision. Whether it's planting trees, reducing waste, or standing up for those who can't speak for themselves, every action matters. Their words inspired countless individuals and groups to take action. In cities, volunteers cleaned rivers and parks. In rural areas, farmers adopted sustainable practices to protect the soil and water. Scientists worked tirelessly to develop cleaner energy sources, while artists used their talents to raise awareness about environmental issues. Slowly but surely, change began to take root. One evening, Jack and Lisa sat on a quiet beach, watching the waves roll in under a star-filled sky. The sound of the ocean was soothing, a reminder of Earth's beauty and resilience. They had taken a rare break from their busy schedule to reflect on how far they'd come and how much work still lay ahead, Lisa said softly, pulling her knees to her chest. Sometimes I wonder if the Council is watching us right now. Jack chuckled lightly. Probably. Knowing them, they're probably analyzing everything we do. Lisa smiled, but quickly grew serious again. Do you think we're doing enough? Really enough? Jack sighed, running a hand through his hair. Honestly? No, we're making progress, sure, but there's so much more to be done. Climate change, deforestation, pollution, they're all still huge problems. And then there's inequality, war, greed. It's overwhelming sometimes, Lisa nodded, her eyes fixed on the horizon. Yeah, it is, but you know what keeps me going? Those little moments when you see someone doing something good, like a kid picking up trash or a farmer planting native crops. It reminds me that change doesn't have to be big to matter. Jack smiled, leaning back on his elbows. You're right. Every small step counts. And honestly, I think that's what the Council was looking for, not perfection, but effort. As long as we keep trying, we're moving in the right direction. As weeks turned into months, evidence of humanity's efforts began to show. Cities implemented stricter regulations on emissions, leading to clearer skies and healthier air. Renewable energy projects sprang up in regions once dominated by fossil fuels. Communities came together to restore damaged ecosystems, replanting forests and reviving coral reefs. Even industries that had long resisted change started adapting, driven by consumer demand and government incentives, but progress wasn't without its challenges. Some corporations fought back against new environmental laws, arguing that they would hurt profits. Others claimed the changes were unnecessary or exaggerated. Conflicts arose between nations over resources and policies, threatening to undo some of the hard-won gains. Through it all, Jack and Lisa remained steadfast, urging people to stay focused on the bigger picture. "We're not perfect," Lisa told a crowd during a rally in Washington, D.C., "and will never be. But perfection isn't the goal, progress is. Every tree you plant, every plastic bag you refuse, every vote you cast, it all adds up. Together, we can create a future worth living in." Her words earned thunderous applause, echoing through the streets as thousands of people cheered. Similar scenes played out around the world, proof that humanity's spirit was alive and well. One night, as Jack and Lisa prepared to board a plane for another speaking engagement, they received an unexpected message. It came via a secure channel, delivered directly to their phones. The message was brief but unmistakable. "The Council wishes to observe your progress." They exchanged a glance, their hearts racing. Was this it? Had the Zorathians returned to evaluate humanity's efforts? Within hours, reports flooded in from across the globe. Sightings of alien ships, smaller vessels, this time were reported hovering over major cities, natural landmarks, and industrial zones. The ships didn't interfere. They simply observed, their presence a silent reminder of the stakes. Governments scrambled to respond, issuing statements urging calm. Environmental organizations took the opportunity to highlight their successes, pointing to restored wetlands, thriving wildlife populations, and reduced carbon footprints. Activists held demonstrations, calling for continued action and unity. Jack and Lisa found themselves at the center of it all once again. Reporters hounded them for comments, and world leaders sought their advice. Despite the pressure, they stayed grounded, focusing on what mattered most, showing the Council that humanity was worth saving. When the final evaluation came, it arrived without warning. One morning, Jack and Lisa woke to find the massive alien ship hovering above Earth once more. This time, however, it didn't descend to the surface. Instead, a holographic projection appeared in the sky. Visible to everyone on the planet, Kale's voice echoed across continents, calm and measured. "Your species has shown remarkable growth in a short time. You have begun to heal your planet and address the harm you have caused. While much work remains, your efforts demonstrate a commitment to change." There was a pause, and for a moment, the entire world seemed to hold its breath. The Galactic Council has decided to grant humanity a second probationary period. Continue on your current path, and you may yet earn a permanent place among the stars. Fail, and intervention will become inevitable. The projection faded, leaving behind only silence. Across the globe, people erupted into cheers, tears, and prayers of gratitude. For many, it was validation of their hard work and sacrifices. For others, it was a renewed sense of purpose. Jack and Lisa stood side by side, watching the ship ascend into the heavens. Neither of them spoke for a long time. Words weren't necessary. They knew the journey was far from over, but they also knew humanity had proven something important, that even flawed beings could strive for greatness. In the days and weeks that followed, life slowly returned to normal as it could be after such an extraordinary event. Jack and Lisa continued their work, traveling less frequently now but remaining vocal advocates for change. They encouraged others to take ownership of their actions, reminding them that the fate of the planet rested in their hands. One evening, as they sat together on the same beach where they had reflected months earlier, Lisa broke the silence. "Do you think we'll ever see them again?" she asked, nodding toward the stars. Jack shrugged, a small smile playing on his lips. "Maybe, or maybe they'll just keep watching from afar. Either way, I think they're rooting for us." Lisa laughed softly, leaning her head on his shoulder. Well, let's not disappoint them. As the waves lapped gently at the shore, the two of them gazed up at the night sky, filled with a quiet determination. Humanity's story was far from finished, but for the first time in a long time, it felt like a story worth telling, and somewhere among the stars, the Galactic Council watched, curious to see what Earth's apex predator would do next.